Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks. On Monday, the 19th day of February, year of our Lord 2018, welcome to the John Moore Show. We do a news tip every morning as to the breaking news. The big news continues to be the events in Florida last week. It's just a tragedy. The anti-gun individuals are jumping on this as their big chance to push anti-gun legislation. So we need to be aware of that and take appropriate measures to make sure it doesn't happen. Proper tip of the day. I want to encourage all of you to work on your physical conditioning. Now, it's going to be different things for different people. We all have our beginning point. We all have our goals. And there may be some crossover and similarity between abilities and goals, but regardless, you need to determine what your beginning point is so you don't hurt yourself, and determine a reasonable goal given your starting point. So that's your prepper tip of the day, as to maybe give you a bit of encouragement. I did my workout this morning. Right now it's too nasty to be doing anything outside, in my opinion. I could, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to run on wet grass. That would not be wise. And when it's 50 degrees out. But I did my usual workout, which I do at least 5 days a week, which is all the stretching that I've been doing for more than half a century. The normal stretching you see runners do out on the athletic field. 250 crunches and 50 push-ups. I backed off. I was doing 75, but it hurt too much. I'm getting very comfortable doing 50, and I'll bump those up incrementally as I see fit. So that, just to give you a little encouragement there, just do it. That's all you got to do, is just do it. This is Firearms Monday. We're hoping that Jimmy Ginsling will call in. He has not called in yet. If he does, we will bring him on board, and we'll have Jimmy be part of the discussion. I have here at hand one of my favorite books. It's an annual publication. The 72nd edition was published this past fall. It usually comes out towards the end of August, 1st of September, around in there. Gun Digest. It's a great reference book. It's been around now for 72 years. I look forward to it the end of each summer to get my current edition to see what's latest and greatest in the firearms industry. No, they don't have everything in there. They don't. But they have close to it, as close as anything I've ever found. It's always, the firearms industry has been going through dramatic changes over the years. The popularity of suppressors, for example, has gotten off the charts crazy, which is why we all need to support the Hearing Protection Act. It would be helpful for a lot of shooters and make for better neighbors. A lot of people are upset and disturbed at the sound of gunfire. I'm not. When I hear gunfire in my neighborhood, I just think of it as a sound of freedom. That's what I think of. The Hearing Protection Act is very critical of that. The reciprocity between the states needs to happen also. We've had too many examples. One is too many. Too many examples of men and women that have been arrested, charged as criminals, sometimes convicted for conducting activity that in their home state would be perfectly legal, not even a little bit criminal, because they had crossed a line on a map, and when they crossed the line on the map, the laws changed, and they got sideways with the laws and ended up being arrested, charged, and sometimes convicted of crimes that never should have happened. So we need to work on that as well. There's something I talk about occasionally that, since it's springtime is very nearby, is the Appleseed program. Now, this is a nationwide program. I think it's in most of the 50 states. It's a great way for men and women, boys and girls, to both get a basic education in rifle marksmanship and safety, obviously. At the same time, getting a quick lesson in American history as it regards the American Revolution. It's a great program. They have wonderful instructors. It doesn't cost very much. The main thing is to sign up and show up and participate. People get a lot out of this. And it's especially important, I believe, to bring in youngsters. Most American children go to American public schools, which most of the time, out here where I live is an exception, which most of the time the instructors come out of these communist-inspired colleges. If you've listened to my friend Jeff Nyquist on Wednesdays, you heard Jeff talk about how his goal as a young man was to become a public school teacher, and how when he entered college, he quickly found himself surrounded by top to bottom, left to right, communist Marxist instructors who were not going to allow him to get those credentials unless he towed the line and spewed back the proper Marxist theology while a student. So he walked away from that career path. So it's very important to bring children into these programs so that they can get some real history, learn about firearms from qualified instructors that will give proper instruction and proper training to get the basics. You're not going to come out of there ready to shoot at Camp Perry. No, that's not going to happen. What you will come out of there with is a basic foundation in the proper and safe use of rifles. One of the reasons we won the American Revolution is that we had rifles and the Brits had muskets. What's the difference, John? I'm glad you asked that question. Musket is smoothbore. The British were all caught up in that Napoleonic warfare silliness that was going on in Europe at the time, where they were using these smoothbore muskets and basically standing up in front of each other with their bright colored uniforms, blasting away without really aiming, except kind of pointing the rifle in a general direction. Now, if you got hit by one of those big chunks of lead, you were in big trouble. No doubt whatsoever, you were in big trouble. A big chunk of lead going, 800 or 900 feet per second, ruin your whole day. The Americans, on the other hand, many of them, possibly most, depending on the unit, had rifles. Now, the Americans, most of them brought their rifles to war that they used in everyday use in their ranches and farms here in the United States. And rifles have rifling in the barrel. The muskets do not. They're smooth, just like a shotgun barrel, which means that that round ball, of course, you can't stabilize a round ball in the first place, but a bullet passing through a rifle barrel that has rifling will put a spin on it. That spin gives stability to the bullet and gives precision to the bullet. And so you can shoot a rifle with precision, where doing that with a musket is past 50 yards or so is not going to happen. So we had riflemen, we had sharpshooters, snipers. The Brits didn't. There was a number of well-known and well-documented accounts of American snipers taking out high-ranking British generals and other officers, specifically targeting officers. There was a scene in the film Patriots that where the British general is lamenting the targeting of British officers and how it was so uncivilized and uncouth and all this, and the lead character's response was classic, and it did give us an edge. It definitely gave us an edge that we were able to have experienced, qualified marksmen, snipers equipped with rifles to take out the leadership of the British Army. it helped a lot. And of course, that tradition carried on through all the wars that we've had. And we've gone into most wars with a lack of trained marksmen, snipers. That seems to happen over and over again. I recall I was at a AMSOIL banquet. I'm an AMSOIL dealer. By the way, my Lincoln Town Car, I think, now turned over, I think it's either 371 or 372,000 miles on it using AMSOIL products. But regardless, I'm at an AMSOIL banquet up there in Minnesota. The gentleman sitting next to me, another AMSOIL dealer, he was telling me about his son, who was in Afghanistan with the U.S. Army. First sergeant called them together and asked all his men, who here knows what an M14 is? Well, this gentleman's the AMSOIL dealer. His son raised his hand. Nobody else even knew what an M14 was. Of course, he knew because his father owned an M1A, M14, same rifle. And just on the basis of that knowledge and having shot his father's M1A, M14, he became the designated marksman for that particular unit. What the Army was doing, and I assume is still doing, since we're still fighting this endless war, which has no reason for being fought in the first place of any consequence, we were taking M14s out of storage. The Army armors were cleaning them up, making sure that they were suitable for use as a precision rifle, mounting a 10-power fixed scope on them. I'm not sure what kind. Doesn't matter. Probably a Leopold or some similar high-quality scope, maybe Night Force. And then equipping one man per unit as the designated marksman. Now, what I described took place in Afghanistan, not here in the States. You would think, at least I would think, that the Army would make sure they had designated marksmen properly equipped and properly trained before they ever went overseas to a war zone like that. They didn't. These things happen. So his son became the designated marksman in that particular outfit. What we see happen in these wars is, it doesn't matter if it's World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq. The war starts, and then the Army figures out how to fight it. In almost all wars, we go in with the training, equipment, and mindset of the previous war, which may be a good thing, may not be a good thing. Typically, it's not a good thing. World War II was certainly an example of that. Former President Reagan, for example, was a member of the Army Reserve and was a cavalryman. The U.S. Army still had horse-mounted soldiers at the beginning of World War II. Not that there was anything wrong with horse-mounted soldiers. In fact, there was a movie that came out recently about the 12 Green Berets who were using horses in Afghanistan. And, I said, God bless the Green Berets, my buddies. But at the beginning of World War II, the U.S. Army had very few metal airplanes. We were still flying airplanes that had wood wings and bodies made of wood covered with fabric. Not that there's anything wrong with that on one hand. On the other, if you're going up against an enemy whose air force is metal airplanes, all metal, that can outperform yours by a factor of at least 2, you're in deep trouble. You're in real deep trouble. We went into Vietnam with basically almost everything was left over from World War II and Korea. Pretty much everything. We quickly got up quickly, how much is quickly? Got up to speed with jungle boots, for example. The leather boots that we'd used for decades they fell apart in the heat and humidity and water of those jungles. Typically, about 3 to 4 months was about as long as they would last before they start falling apart. The jungle boots would hold up for many more months, depending on where you were and how much use they were getting. Jungle boots, I like. I still have a pair of jungle boots I keep all cleaned and polished up for various functions. If I happen to be in a parade or honor guard or something like that, and I wear my Vietnam jungle fatigues, I have my jungle boots ready to go. I find them very comfortable. They also started fabricating a nylon mesh insert to go on the bottom to go inside the boots to protect against punji spikes. Punji spikes are pieces of bamboo that have been sharpened to very sharp, covered with excrement, animal excrement or human excrement to boost the chance of infection. A hole is dug in the ground, maybe 2 feet deep. Punji spikes are planted there, pointing upward with a spike pointing upward, and then the hole, this would be on a trail, someplace where GIs would be walking. Then the hole is covered up with camouflage to conceal the fact that that pit is there. Now, it could be a much larger pit, big enough for an entire man to fall into. They went both ways on those punji spikes and punji stake pits. Getting back to rifles. A lot of civilians I run into and talk with, they're convinced that owning a higher quality, more expensive rifle will make them a better marksman. Not really. Not really. Your typical off-the-shelf rifle at Walmart, for example, I'm using Walmart because Walmart is the largest firearms retailer in the world. Quite frankly, nobody else even comes close. Will shoot better than most men can or women can hold them. Here's our break. Call number is 800-313-9443. J.R. Moore here. As most of you know, my regular listeners, I offer energy cleaners for sale at my website. If you don't have a clue what I'm talking about, go to my website, thelibertyman.com, educate yourself about these marvelous healing devices. We focus on pain mitigation and getting a great night's sleep. Arthritis pain, joint pain, back pain, doesn't matter. Keep in mind, I offer from me to you personally a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do. Energy cleaners, $285, shipping included to American zip codes. You can educate yourself all about the energy cleaner right there at my website, the patent application, the wonderful testimonials. Be sure and check out the factory-made fitted mattress pads to go with the energy cleaner. Now, I offer from me to you personally a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do. I have a toll-free order line, or you can order it right at my website at thelibertyman.com. The toll-free order line is 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at The Liberty Man. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 19th of February. March 22nd to the 25th is the Watchmen Conference in Dallas, Texas. Saturday, the 24th, I will be the keynote speaker. If you want to come there and see me, get there for that keynote presentation. I'll be around to meet and greet afterwards and before, as far as that goes. At my website at thelibertyman.com is a promotion code to get $20 off the conference. If you can't go to the conference, 20% off the live stream cost. So check that out. It's a great list of speakers there, nationally known speakers. I am so honored and humbled and privileged to be the keynote speaker at this event. This is Firearms Monday. Jimmy is not with us. I don't know why, but it doesn't matter. We're taking questions, calls, and comments, anything and everything to do with firearms, the gun culture, ammunition, optics, shooting techniques, legislation, all those things. It's a vast culture, the gun culture in the United States. I've been part of the gun culture since, well, President Eisenhower was president back in the 1950s. Before the break, I was mentioning that your average rifle off the shelf of Walmart will shoot better than most people that can pick it up and shoot it. It doesn't matter who they are. I would say less than 10% of marksmen can make use of a rifle of better quality than what Walmart sells. And Walmart sells, good stuff. I encourage people to visit with and become a customer of a gun store that is not part of a large chain. It's a tough business. The markup is relatively low for retail. Typical retail markup is considerably more than what it is in firearms because there's so much competition. Usually, the independent gun store will have either a gunsmith associated with them somehow, some way. Sometimes on the premises, usually not. Usually, it's a referral to a local certified. This is important. Certified gunsmith who actually went to gunsmith school, has the proper tools, has the proper knowledge. Now, I hear horror stories all the time about amateur gunsmiths who don't have the training, don't have the knowledge, don't have the proper tools. They mean well, on one hand. On the other, they can cause a lot of damage, expensive damage to your firearm. So stay away from these unqualified, untrained, uncertified, unlicensed gun dealers. Licensing in some cases does serve a purpose. When I find out that a gunsmith has a license, that means almost always that he's certified, that he's had proper training, that he has the proper tools, and he knows what he's doing. That's because there's a lot of nuances to firearms. There really are. I am not a gunsmith. I have no desire to be a gunsmith. And when I have an issue with a firearm, I call up my gunsmith on the phone to see if he's got a quick answer. If not, I make an appointment to talk to him in detail, in person, face to face, possibly bring the firearm with me. We discuss what the issue is and how to resolve it. He may have to do research on his own, and he's not ashamed to admit he doesn't know everything. No, he's not ashamed to admit that at all. And he'll take it under advisement, do his research, and come up with a workable solution. Typically a solution that I'm not aware of, typically a solution that is more cost-effective than what I might be aware of already. I've had my gunsmith save me lots of money over the years by knowing the best way, the most cost-effective way to reach whatever goal it might be. Whether it's an upgrade to a trigger group, a repair to a rifle, installation of an optic, choice of an optic. It might be any number of things. And it's good to have a working relationship with a certified gunsmith for all those reasons. It really is. Now, getting back to Appleseed, you don't need an Olympic grade rifle to go to Appleseed and have fun and get the knowledge, get the training. We use the term here, Jimmy and I use the term rack grade frequently. Rack grade means it's a completely safe, fully functional rifle that's ready to go to the range and shoot safely and accurately. Here's our bottom of the hour break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our Energy Cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an Energy Cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the Energy Cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the Energy Cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 19th of February. The month is quickly slipping by here, isn't it? My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. I'm just scrolling down here and reflecting on all these things that we have come up with and got on my website over the years. There's a lot there. There's an awful lot. One of these projects is, and I'm not aware of anybody else in the alternative media doing what I'm doing when it comes to locating these images of continents with new coastlines. It took off. The first image one of our listeners found, it's been 5 or 6 years ago, image from the 1972 film The Vatican. The Godfather, with a scene from the Vatican is what I'm trying to say. But it really took off. This project really took off in January of 2017. Long list of images from TV shows, movies, a couple other locations, continents with new coastlines. The most recent one was posted just in the last couple of weeks, the first one this year. If you find an image of a continent with new coastlines on a TV show or a movie, get that screen capture to me. As a thank you, you get your choice of any of my 5 DVDs as a thank you. That's what you get. It's a fun project, and let's move forward with that and double or triple the length of these films, number of these films and TV shows. Also, my website, of course, you'll find energy cleaners for sale. It's my home business. When you place your order, my order takers in St. Louis, they send me an email with the details. I pack up the energy cleaner. I pack up the mattress pad to go with it. I take it to the little country post office at Cherryville, Missouri, where they have an all-you-can-eat catfish buffet every Friday evening. And then it gets shipped out priority mail to you, wherever you might be, anywhere on the planet. Even Antarctic. If you got a job in the Antarctic, and get me an order, I will get it to you somehow, some way. It's a marvelous healing device. That's what it is. I use mine every night. Think I may have some aches and pains? Maybe. Kind of, sort of. Wrestling in junior high school. Football in high school. I've totaled out 2 motorcycles, totaled out 3 cars, jumped out of airplanes, and on and on. Various accidents around the ranch here. Of course I got aches and pains. I wake up pain-free in the morning, and you can also. Only $285, shipping included to American zip codes. And you can use PayPal. The most efficient way, the safest way to make any payment online. I really like PayPal. It works out great for me. PayPal now has debit cards, by the way. Somebody was telling me recently, Pat, that Amazon no longer takes PayPal. I use PayPal on Amazon all the time. It's not an issue. Got a toll-free R line. Keep in mind I have a 90-day money-back guarantee on the energy cleaner. Just give you some peace of mind there. 90-day money-back guarantee on the energy cleaner. You can read up on it there at my website at thelibertyman.com, where you can place your order, or call my toll-free R line, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Being an NRA certified firearms instructor means I deal with both ends of the spectrum when it comes to men and women, boys and girls, coming into the firearms culture for the first time, or being a person, a man or woman with decades of experience, possibly even competitors. And so I've had both ends of the spectrum, and have to deal with both effectively. It's a challenge, but it's a challenge that I gladly meet that challenge, whether it's a 8-year-old boy or girl, or a 78-year-old man or woman with arthritis. Can barely pull the trigger on a double-action revolver, for example, can't rack the slide on a semi-automatic pistol. I see that a lot. Especially women don't have the strength. They don't have the strength in their hands and arms to rack the slide on a semi-automatic pistol. In the meantime, their spouse, brother, father, boyfriend, son, sibling, male sibling has advised them to buy a semi-automatic pistol, and they're struggling with this semi-automatic pistol that they can't rack the slide on. I know they mean well. That's what I tell these women. I said, you're the man who recommended this. They love you. They mean well, but they don't know what they're doing, and they don't. Good intentions doesn't cut it. What's the old saying? The road to hell is paved with good intentions, something like that. So good intentions doesn't cut it when it comes to this matter. For most novices, men or women, doesn't matter, that want to get a pistol for concealed carry, I almost always recommend a revolver for the novices. Almost always. There's a rare exception. In fact, I can't think of any at this moment. I can't. Now, if they already got the semi-automatic, I give them some coaching on how to get used to that action, be able to rack the slide, clear jams and all that, while at the same time advising them that if they can't get good enough to be competent with all these mechanisms and actions you need to do with a semi-automatic pistol, you really need to get yourself a revolver. You really do. And typically it's a 38 5-shot or 6-shot revolver. Sometimes a 32. There's men and women who have issues with strength and arthritis pain, that they can't handle the recoil from a 38, which is a powerful pistol, by the way. And one of the things about these pistols, when you want to get a airweight pistol and a 38 revolver, let's say 12 ounces, typically an airweight revolver and 38 caliber would be 12 ounces, about the weight of a 12-ounce soft drink. That's not much weight to absorb that recoil. And I'm a pretty big, tough guy, but I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I don't consider it fun to shoot full power 38 ammunition through a 12-ounce pistol. I'll do it, and I'll be fine with it, but I wouldn't want to do it all afternoon. We got a caller on hold here. We got Mark in Philadelphia. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, John. The question I'm going to ask you a little bit off subject, but it has to do with both of us being veterans. And just so you know,
broke up. It has to do with what? Veterans? You broke up.
Both of us being veterans.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. So, and also, my brother was in Vietnam, 69 to 71. My father was in World War II at the end. My grandfather was in World War II at the beginning. My great-great-grandfather was in the Civil War, captured in the Battle of the Wilderness, taken prisoner of war, and served 11 months in Andersonville, Georgia. I don't think I'd ever told you that before. I found that out in the last year. And I found that out because I had been...
Have you been there yet? You need to go there if you haven't been.
No, I have not been there. But his name is on the roster. There's 45,000 men that went through that prison, and 13,000 of them died within weeks of entering the prison gates because it was an open-air prison. The conditions were horrid. There is a movie that you can watch on the internet. It's a dramatic movie, but it's true to life, 3 hours long, called Andersonville. And anyway, so I don't know if you listened to this interview that John had with Cody Snodgrass last week.
I did not. What was
okay.
it? What was the topic?
Well,
what did they talk about?
Okay, well, this Snodgrass guy was a dark CIA, a dark ops, supposedly. And anyway, what he shared on that show about what happened with Oklahoma City, that the Oklahoma City was all a setup. It was a multiplicity. I call it multiplicity of purpose, where they do something and they use that event to take away our freedoms from multiple levels or destroy evidence. And what he told us on that interview, told John Stadtmiller, was that the records for the Clinton Whitewater records were moved from Little Rock to the building before it blew up. So that was one thing that was moved there so they could destroy the evidence. And here's another one. The other one, and this kept me up all night. What he said is that the guys that were going to theater in the first Gulf War, before they went there, were given the anthrax vaccine.
Right.
That was one thing. And the other thing is that depleted uranium rounds were used, not only from the tanks, but also from the A-10 Warthog, the 30-millimeter rounds. They were depleted uranium rounds. And what happened is when those rounds, which that's a big bad thing to use uranium, glow-in-the-dark stuff that lasts forever and never goes away. The particles, whenever they would explode, whenever they'd hit their target, the particles that were created were 4 microns large or small. And but the ABC suits, the chemical protection suits that any or all of the guys had over there, would only filter down to 10 microns, which means that those 4 micron particles went through those protective gear, and it contaminated everybody. And he said that the military, that after that with the Gulf War syndrome, like in '94, they had tested, from what he said, they tested most, if not all, and found out that they did have the results of that test basically were also shipped by the Pentagon to the Murray building, and those records were also destroyed. And now, if that's a fact, that is absolute evil. And who's in charge of the Pentagon? Who would direct such a thing? Who would make those decisions and destroy evidence? Because if that would have gotten out, because there was hearings coming forth on that, from what I gathered at that time, and they were about to investigate it, but yet the records, when it came down to, well, where are the records? Well, we can't find them, or they disappeared. Were you aware of this, John, about these records being in that building?
I was. While you were talking, Snodgrass was, they attempted to recruit Snodgrass to blow up the building, and he turned them down, is my recollection. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's what he said.
Right. I know who you're talking about now. I was aware of those records being there. I was not aware of the Whitewater records being there, but I was aware of the things about the Gulf War syndrome being there. Almost all men and women who served in the First Gulf War are either very sick or dead. There's almost nobody left on active duty that served in theater during the First Gulf War.
By the way, wasn't Joyce Riley also over there? Was she also in the theater?
No. She
was not.
She was a nurse with the Air Force, flying these injured men back to the United States. I don't know if she spent any time on the ground over there. It was limited, but her job was to be a nurse and to help transport these sick individuals back to the United States. Now, she died of cancer about a year ago, of course, and she may have been around contaminated equipment. I don't know, but she's been dead now.
So here's the deal, John. First of all, the nuclear industry uses fission instead of fusion, which the byproduct of that glows in the dark forever. And the nuclear industry, instead of disposing of those, burying them in Yucca Mountain or wherever they're going to bury them properly, which costs a lot of money. No, they want to turn them into weapons of war so that they can, dispose of them in a mysterious way, I guess. But yet it ends up hurting our own guys and gals, and I mean they shouldn't be used at all. I mean, there's a lot that's flat out evil. That's flat out evil. I mean, really, it's evil. Right. What else is it?
Well,
our Pentagon that's directing us to go. These wars over there in the Middle East are absolutely abhorrible. We shouldn't be over there. We are not at war with these other countries for the United States. We are at war against those other countries for somebody else, our best buddy ally that's over there, the same group that attacked us on June 8th, 1967. And I will always remember that. And I come from a long line of veterans, and I hope that you and other veterans would stand up. We got to figure this out, because I mean the enemy is hiding right in our midst, and we got to know, what do we do? And so I'm looking up to you, because you're my senior, my elder, and you've been around. You've been through more than I have with this military, because I wasn't during peacetime. But what do we do, John? I mean, do we just
Well, we'll wrap this up in the following manner. First of all, we take care of our families. That's something we can do. Second of all, we find groups that believe what we believe in, so we got more bang for our buck in terms of political power at the voting at the polls, and of course support a strong Constitution-believing sheriff at the county level, and be diligent and find the best candidates we can that will, to the best of their ability, support the U.S. Constitution. It's difficult, but that's what we need to do. Mark, we do appreciate your call. Thank you, sir. Don't be a stranger.
Thank you, John.
Okay. Yeah. We'll get back to the firearms topic here. That was enough of that rabbit trail for the time being. A break coming up here in less than 2 minutes. It's being part of the gun culture is fun. Going to gun shows is fun. You meet interesting, fun people who are enjoying life, enjoy their hobbies, whatever that hobby might be, in the gun culture. There's dozens of different ways to be involved in the gun culture. Literally dozens of different ways. For beginners with junior high school or Boy Scouts with marksmanship training and competition, hunter safety classes for youngsters. That's a good entry level training. I believe there's hunter safety classes in most of the 50 states these days. I'm pretty sure of it. The accidents, firearms-related accidents, have been going down over the decades as hunter training safety has become more ubiquitous. Less accidents, that's a good thing. We need, even if you don't like guns and are fearful of them for yourself, Your children should have that training so they're safe around firearms. Here's our break. Call number is 800-313-9443. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 19th of February. I need to go back to Mark's comments there. At the end, he segued into something that has no evidence. The belief that the country of Israel is our enemy. They are not our enemy. The tragedy that happened in 1967 was just that. It was a tragedy, and they've paid for that financially. They need to do more publicly, I believe, but they did pay for that financially. And that's a red herring put out there literally by the communists. The communists are our enemy. Don't fool yourselves. The communists are our enemy, not the Israeli government or the Israeli people or the Jewish people. So that needs to be part of this. Let's get back to firearms. This is Firearms Monday. Okay. I'm getting some static here in some place in one of these pieces of equipment. I don't know where it's coming from. It's kind of distracting. Get down to the basics. If you're an advanced shooter, a hunter with years of experience, a competitor, a combat veteran of one of these many wars, you probably are pretty well up to speed on the proper and safe use of rifles, shotguns, pistols. Not necessarily, but most likely you are. So get the training. Don't be embarrassed just because you're 30 or 40 or 60 years old. There's no reason to be embarrassed or humiliated that you need to get some training. None at all. I've seen a lot of men, and some women, it's usually men, who have very bad habits with firearms as far as safety. In fact, my friends who work at these pistol ranges, when they find out that the police are coming to qualify, they take a vacation day. They don't want to be around these cops when the cops are there. They're around guns all the time, these police officers. They frequently have very poor safety habits with these firearms. And the range officers don't want to be there because they consider many of these police officers to be unsafe with firearms. That may come as a surprise or a shock to you. But yes, that is the way it is. So, yeah, and I know this is kind of funny. Another little segue here. I know that many people think that police officers are experts with firearms, and they'll ask firearms-related questions both about firearms themselves or about the laws regarding firearms. Quickest way to get in trouble is to ask a cop for legal advice, even about something that they think they know a lot about, which would be the laws regarding firearms. They may not. They may not. I got time for a quick story here. A friend of mine, we've been friends since the late 1970s. He's at a point in his career where if a judge or a chief of police or a mayor gets in trouble with the law, they call my friend to defend them. So my friend is on the way to court. His client has been charged with possessing a firearm that the barrel's been cut down short enough that it requires federal paperwork and a transfer tax, which would be less than 18 inches long. So he says, John, how do you measure the barrel of a shotgun? And I say, Frank, this is how you do it. So I told him, you take an unloaded shotgun, close the mechanism so the bolt is sealed up there, tight, unloaded, drop a wood dowel down the barrel, and measure the barrel where the dowel meets the end of the barrel. That's how you measure the barrel of a shotgun. Well, apparently, the police measured the barrel with a live round in there, which made the barrel 2 3/4 inches shorter than it really was, appeared to be, anyway. So our client, his client gets arrested. He has to post bond. He has to be humiliated in his hometown where everybody knows he's been arrested and charged with possession of a firearm that needed to be registered and tax paid, transfer tax. And all because the police did not know how to measure the barrel of a shotgun. That's the only reason any of this happened. They did not know how to measure the barrel of a shotgun. This happens all the time. And if it hadn't been for my friend Frank calling me and my having that bit of knowledge, that prosecution may well have gone forward and been successful and convict the man of something that wasn't even a violation of the law. How about that? So police officers mean well, but they frequently don't have a clue what they're talking about. They frequently do not have a clue. Yeah. Well, get your advice from somebody who knows the law, seriously. And another common misbelief is that, and I saw this recently in a news story concerning somebody's tirade about these about gun laws after the shooting in Florida last week. People commonly think machine guns are illegal. They've never been illegal, ever. They've been highly regulated since the mid-1930s with a lot of federal paperwork, a $200 transfer tax, and so forth, but they've never been illegal. It's just been a matter of taking care of the paperwork, paying the transfer tax. That's all it's ever been. And there's about 250,000 legally owned machine guns in the United States. Probably 2 to 3 times that many that are not registered, which means they're illegal. As far as the law is concerned, unregistered firearms. But legally, a person can buy as many machine guns as they choose to if they go through the paperwork, pay the transfer tax, and so forth. And I know quite a few machine gun collectors. Typically, they own anywhere from 3 to 8 to 10 to, well, one collector I know, I'm not sure even he knows without going through his records, hundreds of machine guns. They're basically, I've never met a female machine gun collector. I'm sure there probably are some. I've never personally met one or been aware of any. But typically, these collectors are looking for solid investments. Machine guns are a very solid financial investment, by the way, and they just want to have fun. I've been to the Knob Creek machine gun shoot, which is held twice a year, about 3 times now, and it's awesome to see 50 shooting points with 50 machine guns all being shot at the same time, especially at night when they're shooting tracers at 55-gallon drums filled with gasoline with dynamite strapped to the front of it for a target. That's exciting. That's pretty exciting. One thing, there's a concrete wall behind many of the shooting points. One thing you don't want to do is get between the concrete wall and those automatic weapons going off. The concussion back and forth will just jar your insides. It really will. But now you can get on top of that concrete building and observe. Now that's a nice place to be able to observe the whole line and not have that concussion jar you back and forth so violently. And it's a violent event, the concussion of all those machine guns. I just realized we missed our top of the hour break. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe my engineer can let me know what's going on, what happened to our top of the hour break. That's interesting. I can't say that's ever happened here with me at Republic Broadcasting, where we missed the top of the hour break. I guess I should ask if I'm still on the air. I assume I am. I don't know. Okay, I'm still on air. Okay. It's live radio, ladies and gentlemen, and you never know what's going to happen. So, at the top of the hour, we have our prepper tip of the day. That's to work on your physical conditioning. Work on it. Aerobic and anaerobic. Anaerobic is lifting weights. Aerobic is moving about, picking up maybe a lot of small weights. You need both kinds of strength, aerobic strength and anaerobic strength. So, and be sure you do your stretching. I start my workouts every morning with a good stretching regimen. It's real easy to hurt yourself if those muscles have not been stretched out and warmed up. And I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt, as they say. Part of being an athlete is injuries. If you're an athlete of any kind, you're going to get hurt at some point, especially if you're involved in competition. Of course you are. That's a given. Of course you're going to get hurt. That's part of it. And just get over it. Let's check Drudge real quick, see if there's anything we need to see here. No new updates. A bunch of silliness about President Trump challenging Oprah Winfrey to an election duel. That would be a hoot. Oprah Winfrey running for president of the United States. Well, she's already declined, by the way. Thank goodness. We got enough silliness going on without that. So no breaking news that we need to be on top of. That's probably a good thing. It's Firearms Monday. If you got a question or comment about firearms or related items such as legislation, tactics, and so forth, we will take your call. Now, we got our next caller here. We got Dan in Missouri. Good morning, Dan.
Hey, good morning, John. Have you got a chance to look into that new ammo, the 9mm ammo called Novex, I believe?
Yeah, you sent me a link on it, and quite frankly, I have not. In fact, Dan, when my show's over, I want you to give me a call. We got a couple things to talk about privately.
Okay, sure, no problem.
It's a light projectile going really, really fast.
Yep.
I've owned
polymer and copper blend of some kind, right?
Yeah, I've owned as many as 4 9mm pistols at the same time. My last one went to my grandson as a gift when he turned 21 this past fall. My Browning high power that I used to carry when I was working homicide cases back in 73 and 74. I'm not a big fan of 9mm, quite frankly. There's the belief is that having these smaller, lighter projectiles going really, really fast is a good thing. And the mathematics of it make them look really good. That's why the 5.56 NATO round looks so good, because of the mathematics concerning the ballistics of that little pistol, that little round cartridge that was meant to shoot groundhogs from 300 yards away.
Right.
But there was a young man, a 15-year-old boy in Florida. He was the last shooting victim at that high school on the 15th. He shot 5 times with a .223, and he's probably going to have a complete recovery with surgeries and so forth. I don't know where he was hit, but if he was shot with a .762 NATO round 5 times, the likelihood of him being alive would be dramatically less, to say the least. A tough kid, soccer player. The Army went to the 9mm for 2 reasons. One, it was NATO standard. And 2, women have difficulty with 45. The response to all this pistol ammunition stuff, my response is World War I, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam, where the 45 showed itself to be quite adequate. It's simply a tool meant to get you from where you are to where your rifle is. And that's all I need. It's that big, slow-moving chunk of lead, 240 grains, going slightly above the speed of sound. that's enough. It'll knock a guy down, even if he's got body armor on it. It's got enough foot-pounds of energy to knock you over.
Like a 2-4 in the chest.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I would not, if somebody wants to go to these different rounds that have all these wonderful characteristics, I'm not going to attempt to talk them out of it. I know that for John Moore, 240 grains of lead going 900 feet per second is fine. That's all I need. Thank you very much.
Okay.
It's just a pistol is all it is. Go ahead, Dan.
Yep, I hear you. There was one thing just a little off topic, but I think it's extremely important, even though all I've seen is a trailer. There's a movie, excuse me, there's a movie that's going to be free on the internet to watch for the next 10 days. It's called Revelation. Have you heard about that yet, John?
I'm not sure. Go ahead and talk about it.
Well, it's got, good old Alex Jones has got a part in it, but that's not the reason I brought that up, but he is in there. And there's a couple of country western singers or whatever that's got some places in it. Charlie Daniels, I think, is one of the narrators. But it has to do with the New World Order. And it looks absolutely bone-chilling to watch it. And it's going to be free to watch on the Internet.
Well, Dan, send me a link.
Starting today.
Yeah, well, send me a link, and I'll get that posted on my website so people can watch it. Then after that, it'll be for sale, I assume.
It's been for sale for a year or so.
Oh, okay.
And on the internet, So they're just trying to get it out there to as many people as they can to watch it. It looks like it's.
Have you seen it yourself yet?
I've only seen the trailer, and the trailer just shook me to my core.
Right.
So it's pretty well done. It looks very professional and lifelike.
Get me a link for that, and then we can both watch it. Appreciate it, Dan.
I'll do her. All right, John. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Your call number is 800-313-9443. Yeah. One of the interesting things about the gun culture is optics. Back when I was in grade school, I want to say in junior high school, I equipped my Daisy Red Ryder with a telescopic sight. This was a piece of plastic that it may have cost me $4 or $5. I'm not sure what it cost. Very primitive, very cheaply made. I ended up breaking the crosshairs, so I took it apart. I took a couple of pieces of my own hair and glued them in there to make new crosshairs, which actually worked, believe it or not. But I'm way past that. I really like optics. Of course, as an investigator, I used high quality, very powerful optics professionally. I've spent literally hundreds of hours with my eyeball stuck behind the viewing piece of high-powered cameras, video equipment, binoculars, telescopes, in the pursuit of various things as an investigator. So I understand optics. I've used them extensively professionally, and I like the advantage you get with good quality optics. They don't have to be the best. Once you get above, say for a rifle scope, above $300, the differences in quality become very, very slight. They're there, and you have to have, I guess to use the term would be a trained eye to understand what the differences are and how to even detect the differences between the high-end scopes, and we're talking $900 to $1,000 scopes, and the $300 scopes. So it takes some training and knowledge to even tell the difference, because on the outside they look almost identical in terms of the how these things are built, the color, the controls, the features, the options, and so forth. It can be difficult to tell the difference. Night vision, I'm a big advocate of night vision. Now, what we have right now appears to be great in terms of firearms culture, legislation, and so forth. That could change. That could change. Right now, you can buy night vision. My favorite place to buy any optics, by the way, is Optics Planet. Simply a matter of making your choice, making your payment, and that big, beautiful brown truck from UPS will have it at your door probably in 3 days. Now, I've never seen night vision at Walmart. I have no recollection of seeing night vision at Walmart. Most sporting goods, some of the big chains like Gander Mountain and so forth, Bass Pro, they will have a limited selection of night vision. I believe I may have seen at the big Bass Pro headquarters there in Springfield, Missouri, I think maybe 9 or 10 selections in night vision. That's about as big a selection I've ever seen in a retail store. When in reality, there's probably 200 or 300 choices in night vision, literally. But the point being, right now, you can make that purchase easily. I know money's an issue for many of you out there, but keep this in mind. Some night vision, even entry level, a night vision scope that costs $100, some night vision is better than no night vision at all. So if you think, well, I'm going to save up my money until I can buy that nice $1,000 night vision scope. In the meantime, you don't have any night vision at all. Excuse me. If you got $200 or $300 saved up, get something. Get something. It's better than nothing. The assumption, the belief that you've got time to save up money and buy that $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000 scope in the future, that may be. I hope you're right. I hope that's based in reality. I have no crystal ball. I can't tell the future. I'm having lunch here in a couple of hours with a gentleman. He's a very accomplished businessman in his chosen career, and I'll be giving him some updates. He's one of these men that wants to keep his lifestyle uninterrupted until he has no choice and he has to go to a safe haven. And that's true of many people. And it's very understandable that people would feel that way. And I don't challenge that in the least. I'll let people know I think it's probably not the wisest thing, but I respect their choice. When it comes to night vision, your choice of waiting to get something that's real high end while you could afford something that's $200 or $300 right now, I think that's foolish myself. So once that opportunity's gone, once there's a crisis in our face, the odds of you finding any night vision at all, low end or high end, either one, are basically gone. Pretty much gone. So my advice is to get what you can afford right now. You got it, and keep it in a Faraday cage. I got those Faraday bags I sell on my website. You can make your own. Get yourself a nice, brand new, clean, galvanized steel trash can with a nice, tight-fitting galvanized steel lid. Line it with some carpet or cardboard. Put your equipment in there. You're good to go. It would help to ground it. I don't believe it's necessary. But keep your night vision in it. In fact, all your electronics in Faraday cages. I would like to think that a crisis would never happen where we would need this. You think if you were in New Orleans following Hurricane Katrina, having night vision might have been a good thing? You had property and lives to protect in New Orleans? Of course it would have been a good thing. Of course. Following the flooding in Houston, any number of these tragic events we've had. Almost half of every day is nighttime. The looting that went on, criminal activity, it's possible that criminals could have night vision. I don't doubt that. It's highly unlikely, but it's possible they could. But the more likely thing is that if you've got it, they're not going to. That's the more likely thing. Now, if you can only afford one piece, you get a weapon sight. You can use that weapon sight for observation and surveillance, but you can't use a monocular as a weapon sight, at least not very effectively. Binocular night vision. So if there's only one piece of equipment you get the weapon sight because it has multiple uses. And get the best you can afford. There'll be different things for different people. That's just reality. But even that entry level for less than $300 is going to be almost like magic. Being able to see in the dark. The first time you turn on night vision and look through it, it's breathtaking. And something, and I don't know if Professor McCanney has done this yet, but I've been encouraging Professor McCanney to get his hands on some good quality night vision and go out on a moonless, cloudless night and look at the sky. It's like you've never seen the sky before. Here's our break. Call number is 800-313-9443. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. Thank you. We are back. Let's tell them we're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday. It is Monday, the 19th day of February. My website is libertyman.com. That's where you'll find the banner for the Hear the Watchman event. That's March 22nd till 25th. I am the keynote speaker. If you can make it to Dallas, I'll be the keynote speaker at the event on the 24th. If you want to get $20 off, use the promotion code there at my website on that banner. $20 off the live event, 20% off the live stream event. All the details are right there. It's an amazing list of speakers. I'm very honored and humbled to be the keynote speaker for this event. Let's just click on that real quick and look at some of the speakers that we've got there. Okay, I clicked on it, and it should be coming up here shortly. Okay, and let's see. Here we are. Henry Groover, John Wells, L.A. Marzulli, Messianic Rabbi Zev Porit, Paul Begley, Dr. Michael Lake, Derek Gilbert, Russ Isdar, Lisa Haven. I'm a big fan of Lisa. She does a lot of good work. Carl Gallups, Josh Tolley. I know Josh. Michael Waldia. I know John B. Wells also, I should mention, I guess. I've had him on my show. Bill Salas, Mary Colbert, Dr. Don Colbert, Dave Dabblemeyer, that's Coach Dave, Casper McLeod, Christina Peck, Josh Peck, Brandon Gallops, Watchman Alexander, and Ray Gano. So, yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to meeting all these speakers and meeting all of you that can get there. Okay, Firearms Monday. I don't know what's going on with Jimmy today. I hope he's okay. Maybe he had a late night and had to sleep in. Sometimes he has a late night getting back from these. He's at a gun show just about every weekend. Sometimes it's a long trip, and so hopefully he'll be back next Monday. I've got a collection of gun digests going back half a century, and it's fascinating to see how the gun culture has changed over the decades. The directions it's going in very positive directions, in my opinion, by the way. Lots of ways to get involved in the gun culture. It could be hunting. There's all kinds of hunting, of course. Duck hunting, which is a favorite for a lot of people. I've never been particularly... Of course, I haven't been hunting in decades myself. I grew up spending summers with my grandmother and my grandfather out in the Ozarks, and the hunting we did was squirrels and rabbits. That was basically it. I never went deer hunting, but we went, and it was how we put meat on the table. Literally, put meat on the table was squirrel hunting and rabbit hunting. Rabbit hunting in the wintertime, squirrel hunting in the summertime, and yeah. So that was my hunting activity. There's skeet shooting and trap shooting and sporting clays, all of which use the clay pigeons, of course. All kinds of combat competition, where there's 3 guns, competition, rifle, shotgun, pistol, pistol competition, sniper competition, precision marksmanship with rifles and pistols, bench rest shooting with rifles. The cowboy action shooting, that's a lot of fun. I've never been to one of those, but one of my buddies that I served with in Vietnam, he was a cowboy shooter there for a number of years, and they really get into it. They have to pick out a name for themselves, for like a stage name for competition. They wear very authentic costumes. The firearms they use have to be a certain type of firearm that's period correct, shall we say, for that period of time between the end of the Civil War and 1900, for example. And they have a lot of fun. It's a social event as much as it is competition. 3-gun competition, now these guys and gals, they get real serious. Of course, they're all serious. Anytime you're in competition, people are trying to be the winner. So, of course, there's a lot of competition. But they'll have these little golf cart-like contraptions that they make up to carry their rifle, shotguns, pistols, and ammunition and whatever accessories they need, so they can go from point to point in the 3-gun competition. It's fun to watch that also. So there's a lot out there in the gun culture to participate in many, many different kinds of activities and competition. Here's our bottom of the hour break. Stay tuned.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 19th of February. There's a spinning globe there on the left side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. If you click on that spinning globe, let's click on that there and see what happens. Something should come up. Well, maybe I'm not clicking on the right spot. Regardless, there it is. You can find out where people are listening to the John Moore Show all over the planet. It's pretty neat, and sometimes surprising. It's not surprising to find most English-speaking world, but a lot of listeners in Germany, for example, a huge number in Australia, and then some of the things that really caught me off guard, Iran, North Korea, probably their intelligence agencies. There's not many people in North Korea that can listen to the radio on the internet, at least not legally. You have to be connected to the government somehow, some way, or a wealthy person, and so forth. So that's kind of a lot of fun. Also, my website, of course, are energy cleaners for sale. Marvelous healing devices. If you have arthritis pain, the energy cleaner will help. Joint pain, back pain, it will most likely help. Pain from any source, the energy cleaner will help. Not getting a great night's sleep? Remember what my wife, Dr. Moore, says, when you sleep is when you heal. When you sleep is when you heal. You'll get better sleep than you've had in decades. Almost everybody does. Only $285 shipping included. The mattress pads that go with the energy cleaner, they're going to vary in price. I got everything in stock, ready for immediate shipment, by the way. So check out the details at my website. You can read up on the patent application information and make your decision. Keep in mind, I offer a 90-day money-back guarantee. I'm looking over here at my shipping table. I've got mattress pads and energy cleaner stacked up ready to ship tomorrow. Today's a holiday, of course. Ready to go. You can place your orders using PayPal right at my website at thelibertyman.com. Or you can call my toll-free order line. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. This is Firearms Monday. If you've got a question or comment regarding firearms, anything related to firearms or gun culture legislation, give us a call at 800-313-9443. Our next caller is Jeff in Massachusetts. Good morning, Jeff.
Thank you, John. Well, John, when it comes to firearms, after this school shooting in Florida, they are already trying to ban firearms. Already trying to put in gun control measures and so forth and so forth. And what the sheeple don't realize is that let's say tomorrow I was a Democrat communist president, and with a magic wand, no guns whatsoever except for military, police, and hacks. You know what would happen? The guns would still come in. You know how? Because gangbangers would infiltrate the police department, or they would bribe members of the police department and the military, and they would also join the military. It's just as simple as that. Or you would have the Cadillac gun shop, which is guns in the back of a Cadillac. Some criminal pops it open. The serial number has been filed off the guns. For a price, you get yourself a fully automatic gun. Or they just come over the border from a foreign country. For crying out loud, China and all these communist countries will just pump guns right into the country, into the hands of the criminals to topple the government. So they would still come in. Right.
Well, there's a article. It's written as a bit humorous at my website that reinforces what you're saying there. I'm going to scroll down here to see if I can find that thing real quick here on the left side of my home page. It's probably pretty far down. Okay. Pretty far down, very near the video for FEMA high-level briefing. It says, in red letters, bright red letters, says humor. Los Zetas Marketing Memorandum.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and it's written. This is a memorandum written by the head of marketing for a criminal cartel south of the border, looking forward to America's new anti-gun laws and how they're going to incorporate firearms into what they're already doing with cocaine and heroin and so forth. So the market. Let me simplify what you're saying here, Jeff.
Yes.
Listen carefully. The market will always meet the demand. That's the way markets work. That's the way markets work. If there's a demand for heroin, the market will meet that demand. If there's a demand for AK-47s, the market will meet that demand. That can't be stopped. And you go to a place like Saudi Arabia, there's a sign at the border when you cross the border that will cut your head off if you're trying to sell drugs. There are still drugs for sale in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Of course there are. And something else to remember, Jeff, is two words. Listen carefully. Yes. Two important words. Ghost gunner. Ghost gunner. Do you know what that means?
No, I don't know what that means.
Would you like to?
Yes, I would.
Okay. There's a dollar amount, $1,675.
Yeah.
That's a product. It's a product that you can order. The big brown truck from UPS will deliver it to your door. This is a computer-controlled machine that will fabricate high-quality receivers.
Oh, a 3D print. Let me guess. For $500 in Double Jeopardy, a 3D printer.
No. This is a step above that. CNC machine.
Yes.
This is not a 3D printer. This is a computer-controlled CNC machine that actually machines the metal.
Wow.
Yeah. Now this is a step above. 3D printers work also, but that technology, the 3D printer can't quite make what we can get from Remington or Colt, Smith & Wesson. The Ghost Gunner can. You'll have a complete receiver made, as we say, in the privacy of your home, delivered in a plain brown box to let you make your own receivers. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the only part, firearms have multiple parts, screws and springs and ejectors and barrels. But as far as the law is concerned, there's only one part that is the firearm, and that's the receiver. Everything else can be bought and sold like bubblegum. The springs, the barrels, the triggers, the hammers, all those parts, ejectors, they're just simple metal parts. But the receiver is what's considered a firearm, and that's what the Ghost Gunner manufactures. I've talked to these people about advertising their products. They said, John, we got so many orders, we don't need to advertise.
Wow. Well, John, you taught me something today. If I may ask you a question before I go, when are you going to have Jeff Nyquist on? Because that guy...
Every Wednesday, second hour.
Every Wednesday, second hour. Right. And do you take phone calls on the second hour on Wednesday? Because I'd love to talk to Jeff.
Absolutely. He's a great guy. He's back on after a long absence, and we're getting some really great numbers. People love Jeff Nyquist and his analysis.
Oh, he is my hero, because if anybody knows about the communists pumping firearms, pumping drugs, pumping all this crap into this country, it would be him. Because let me tell you something, and then I'm going to go, which is in order to stop drugs and guns and everything like that, you would literally have to have death squads on America, right-wing death squads or left-wing death squads. You're caught with an illegal gun, and you're not government or military, bang, bullet to the back of the head. And you'd have to have surveillance across the land, and you know what? The American people will not accept it.
Absolutely
it just won't be accepted.
Not
hey, John, I'll let you go. Thank you very much.
Jeff,
Bye-bye.
thanks for the call. We appreciate it. The call number is 800-313-9443. All right. This is I did a presentation before a group of people. It was a group I belonged to in St. Louis quite a few years ago, and there was about 20 people that had 30 college degrees. That's about the size of the audience. About 20 people with 30 college degrees. Almost all of them liberal. Almost all of them either neutral on guns or anti-gun. So I'm standing up in front of this group of people, and I say, ladies and gentlemen, we all know that guns come from or manufactured in these really big factories that have large, expensive equipment operated by highly trained technicians. We all agree on that, and everybody's nodding their heads. Yeah, John, they're smiling, nodding their heads. Of course, that's where guns come from. So, if we could find all these factories, where all these large factories with expensive equipment, with highly trained technicians, if we could shut them down, then we could stop the manufacture of firearms, couldn't we? And they all nod their heads, yes, of course we could. And then, taking that chain of logic a little bit further, and then over a period of years, we could eventually have a country, a nation that was gun-free, couldn't we? And everybody nods their head, nods their head yes, and agrees with me. Of course we can. Then I go on and talk about World War II and how an American infantryman officer was left behind in the Philippines, stayed behind to become a guerrilla and fight the Japanese invasion. And they did not have the guns they needed. So he determined a way to fabricate a single-shot shotgun using common gas pipe, like you can buy in any hardware store in the United States. So I had taken the time to fabricate one of these myself. One piece of gas pipe with a precise half-inch diameter hole in the middle, just the exact size necessary for a 12-gauge shotgun shell, by the way. And a second piece of pipe that the smaller one fit inside of. Slightly shorter, maybe 6 inches shorter, with a one end threaded and a cap screwed on the end of it. All that I needed to make a complete working shotgun was a BB epoxied on the inside of that cap to become a firing pin. And I would have a complete shotgun. So I took out the two pieces of gas pipe. I had an expended 12-gauge shotgun shell that had already been fired. I give it to one of the audience members to demonstrate that it's harmless, can cause no harm. I place the expended shotgun shell in the half-inch diameter pipe, place that pipe inside the other one, and I demonstrate slam bang how to operate the shotgun. At that point in time, I heard several sighs where people understood immediately that their hope, their dream, their vision of a gun-free America could never happen as long as there was gas pipe. I go on to demonstrate how I could have one of the larger diameter pipes, which was a receiver with the firing pin, and 8 or 10 of the smaller ones to have multiple shots, because reloading the little pipe would take probably 6 to 8 seconds, where if you had 6 or 8 of these already loaded up, you could shoot relatively quickly with a slam bang shotgun. Then I pull out the receipt from the hardware store, where for less than $10, I had bought the 2 pieces of pipe, had them each cut to the proper length, the one pipe threaded, and then I could screw on the end cap myself. So for less than $10, I think at the time it was probably less than $5, quite frankly, I could fabricate a slam bang shotgun. One of the things my friend Todd Aiken, who was a U.S. congressman for several terms, he told me back when he was a Missouri member of the Missouri legislature, that any committee in the Missouri legislature had anything to do with technology or engineering, there were rarely, if ever, any Democrats on it. Almost never. A Democrat on a committee that had anything to do with technology or engineering. They simply weren't there. And, I thought about that for a moment, and it made perfect sense to me. Look where they go to school. They're getting degrees in English literature, sociology, political science, art. And there's nothing wrong with those things, but they're not practical. They don't involve anything involving engineering or science, these people getting these degrees. So why would they gravitate towards a committee that has to do with anything regarding engineering or science? Well, they're not going to gravitate towards that because they don't understand it. It's not the world they live in. It's simply not. And anything involving manufacturing or metalworking is a complete mystery to these people. It's like magic. They don't have any comprehension of what really goes on in metal fabricating, or how easy and simplistic it can be to bypass, as I just demonstrated, the large factories with the expensive equipment and the highly trained technicians. I would say it's a pretty fair statement that pretty much all high school dropouts could fabricate a slam bang shotgun that I described. There might be some exceptions, but I think almost all of them could. Making use of the local hardware store to do most of the work. Select the pipe, cut the pipe, thread the pipe, walk out the door. These youngsters, God bless them in Florida, they mean well. They're going to have a rally in Washington, D.C. They think they're going to change the world. They don't know the world. They don't understand the world. Read that memorandum that I wrote. It's funny. It's funny because, at least I think it's funny, because it reflects reality. It reflects the way businessmen think. Now, you may not like drug dealers and drug cartels. You may despise them. You may think they're evil. On one hand, on the other, they are business people. They're in the business of meeting the needs, meeting the demand of the market. The market being Americans, hungry for these substances. If it wasn't for Americans that desired and were hungry for heroin and cocaine and crack cocaine and all these other products, there'd be no drug cartels. Of course not. Who are they going to sell? If nobody wants to buy this stuff, who's going to buy it? Why would they even exist? So the memorandum I wrote is from the perspective of these criminal drug cartels and how they think, what they believe, what they will do to meet a new market demand that's not being met. Here's our break. Call number is 800-313-9443. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 19th of February. Well, springtime's not too far away. We had, down here in south central Missouri, almost no snow. I think we had one snow that may be a quarter inch, another one that was maybe slightly more than that, which is fine with me on one hand. On the other, we're way behind in precipitation. The gentleman having lunch today, I'm bringing with me a copy of the article. It's a free download at my website. It has a real catchy title under free downloads. An abrupt climate change scenario and its implications for United States national security. People are always looking for the big, spectacular disaster, such as EMP attack, Planet X impact, harming our planet, which is, those are real things, and we need to be ready for them. Well, what's happening right now, what's in our face right now, is the consequences of the Gulf Stream having stopped June 12th, 2010. That's already in our face. So, read the article, and in fact, I'm printing out a copy now. It just occurred to me, and it's only 4 pages. I'm going to print this out and bring it to the lunch meeting I'm having with this gentleman in a couple of hours, because this really finishes out what that 22 pages. Your tax dollars, by the way, paid for that first article I mentioned, an abrupt climate change scenario. The Department of Defense paid for that, your tax dollars. 2 scenarios. At the time, they were both future possible ones, the Gulf Stream slowing down dramatically and the consequences of the Gulf Stream stopping completely, which it did, June 12, 2010. That one event changes everything. I'm serious. The film, The Day After Tomorrow, starring Dennis Quaid, the main premise of the film is the consequences of the Gulf Stream stopping. It's Hollywood. It's a love story, a couple of teenagers and so forth. It's a well-done movie. But there is some basis in reality of the consequences of the Gulf Stream stopping. There's my printer going, printing out the 4 pages. The Gulf Stream has stopped, written by John Moore. That's my first sentence. This is the second most important event in the past 2,000 years. Please read on. Seriously. Most important event in the last 2,000 years is the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ. This is, seriously, not flippantly, seriously, the second most important event in the last 2,000 years. That's how important this is. And almost nobody knows about it. Almost nobody in the general population. Lots of distractions out there. School shootings, the economy, wars, different threats, and so forth. But this one's just kind of perking in the background, warming up in the background for us to deal with. That's it for the day. Get your medical supplies, energy, cleaning, essential oils now while you can. Your firearms, ammunition, never ever give up your guns. Please do have a fun, safe, productive day. And God bless America.